Hello, welcome to Chatting with Maxie. I'm Maxetta Gad, and I'm super excited to have you here. Thanks very much for hitting play, and I hope you enjoy your time with me. And I hope you'll chat with me. Leave me some comments, and yeah, I love it. I'm a chatter, so chat it up with me. All right, what's been going on this week? How have y'all been doing? Anything new with you? What's going on? Okay, listen, I'm not gonna lie. Every time I hear what's going on, I want to sing What's Going On, Mama. It's the Thought You Should Know song by Morgan Wallen. I can't help it. It's just how I'm wired. It's weird like that. Speaking of Morgan Wallen, controversy has erupted on TikTok. I mean, the guy's lost his voice. He's sick. He can't perform. He had to cancel. He's given refunds. And woo, there's a lot going on. People have some feelings and opinions. I don't have a dog in the fight. I mean, I'm not there, wasn't there. Listen, I'm just going to believe the best that he is sick. He can't sing. He's giving you your money back. I understand there are other expenses that come with it. He can't cover all of those. You bought the tickets. Like, he performs the show. He didn't say get a hotel room and stay 3 nights and buy $1,300 worth of clothing. Anyways, it's been TikTok craziness. It's been too heavy for me. Now, I didn't get involved because if you remember in a previous video, I pick my battles. I protect my energy and my peace. I'm not going to fuss on there. It doesn't matter to me. Anyways, okay, here's a good thing that happened this week. I'm almost embarrassed to tell this story. We all know I like a good fountain pop, preferably a good fountain Coke or a fountain Pepsi. I like the darker pops in fountain. I like my fountain drinks of the darker pops. Whatever the right way is to say that, I don't know. Most of you know I have given up Mountain Dew. That was something I'll talk about at a later time. But I gave it up, but I still do have the occasional fountain pop. Now, I believe in honesty. Man, I've been hitting the Pepsi hard, too hard. I walk to the Family Dollar from work and get a couple Pepsis. I go through the drive-thru, got to get a Pepsi. You can't replace one vice with another vice and expect any different results. No. And why am I doing it? Well, I'm just trying to cut down on that sugar a little bit and preserve my teeth. So, anyways, we're all fighting battles. Don't anybody come at me, okay? Anyways, I share all of that with you to let you know this. I went through the Wendy's at Fairmont. We were up visiting Grayson yesterday. We needed to be up there with her for a little bit. So we were coming back. Now, normally I'm strictly a McDonald's fountain Coke. Now, that's a lie. I do get my free one from Go-Mart. If you're local here, you know I'm a Go-Mart girl. You get your little rewards, get my free gallon of milk, get my free fountain drink. Anywho, back to my story. Well, there wasn't a McDonald's where we were, and I didn't want to make a bunch of other stops. And so I said, I'm going to swing through this Wendy's and grab me a fountain drink. I really wanted a Frosty and fries, but no. It's like, no, I'm not doing all of that. We'll get me a drink. Well, I get up there to the window. I order large Coke, light ice. Same thing. And the gentleman, like, I have my money right here for him, like right at the window. So as soon as he opened it, he could take my money. $1.37, he told me. So I got up there. Now, listen, he was very nice, but I couldn't hear him. There was a tree being cut, and I think he had maybe a speech impediment of some sort, so I really couldn't hear him or understand. So I gave him money, and he smiled, and he said, no charge, it's on the house. And I just kind of gave my nervous laugh, like, and that's the laugh, like, I can't really hear or understand what you're saying, or I'm, I'm not really into what you're saying, so that's my, and I still had the money there. He said, no, 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 it's on the house. There's no charge. Excuse me? He said, ma'am, you have a good day. I said, well, I have to pay for my drink. He said, no, ma'am, no. There's no charge. It is on the house. You have a good day. Stop it right now. So, of course, I thanked him and I was all excited. And it didn't dawn on me until I pulled out. Maybe the car in front of me paid for it. I don't know. I don't know if he gave it to me or if the car in front, I don't know. But I scored a free pop. And that little things like that make my day. Make my day. I was like, wow. I mean, I was so excited. Anyways, it just makes my day. So I just wasn't thinking, or I would have paid it forward and, paid for the car behind me. But I get excited. Like if you know me in real life or even from these videos, when I get excited, I lose all train of thought. And like, when I get excited, what I'm excited about, I have tunnel vision. That's all I mean. So I was so excited, but I just thought that was really nice, and sometimes just the world can be yucky and people can be yucky and you love them anyways, but gosh, it's awful nice when you get blessed with a free fountain pop at your local Wendy's. So there you go. There's your good story for the week. In other news at the Gad house, when I say in other news, I want to do this. In other news at the Gad house, I got a mini mic. I just have to get an adapter for it. And when I do, there'll be some live reporting from places. I love it. I don't know why I'm like this at 46, but I'm embracing it and going with it. Anyways, in other news at the Gad house, baby boy Gad rolls home in a few days. Gosh, that first year went by so quickly. So he'll be home for the summer. And I'm glad. I think we all know I'm glad. Sometimes it makes you think, gosh, all that crying and sadness, and here he is already home. Yes, he's home. But as many of you all know, it's still just different. I know it's just for a few months and then he'll have to go back. And anyways, I'm going to enjoy the time I have with him. And baby Gad, my granddaughter, sounds neat to say, she and Mama are growing and doing well. We're over the halfway point, so come on, August, and so I can hold her and love on her and smooch all over her. I hope. I mean, if that's okay with her parents. Please. No, they're pretty cool. So, really, I do like both her parents, my son and Jenna. Anyways, all right. What else is going on? Y'all know anything exciting? Anything else? No? So I traveled today for work. I like traveling. It doesn't bother me at all. I have a work car to do it in, so it's always nice when it's not your gas or wear and tear. But on those days, I listen to lots of podcasts. All of them are for like spiritual growth or guidance. Just like when I read, I'm not reading for entertainment. Like, no, I'm reading to learn and to grow, specifically in my walk with Christ. Like any of the books I have, with the exception of maybe one, and I think I read chapter 1 of it. But otherwise, if I have a book, I'm doing it to learn and to grow in my walk with Christ, in my relationship with him. Now, I have friends. Emily, big reader. She almost hit 500 books last year. She was in like the 490s or something. Big reader. Reader for like just for entertainment purposes. Like she chooses to relax and read a book. Angie Cowger, I'm thinking of Brenda Knight. Just lots of different ladies. I think it's wonderful. Don't get me wrong. If I'm going to read, I'm going to learn and grow from it. Because if I'm going to just relax and kick back, well, I'm probably going to watch TV or TikTok. I don't know. Y'all just love me the way I am because I'm not going to change. Okay, here we go. Pretty weather. That means we can get out for some walks. Walks are good. I call mine worship walks. worship walks. Did I say that right? Anyways, I just do it because it's good for me mentally, and it. And when I walk, I listen to worship music, or there's a particular podcast that I listen to while I'm walking. It just speaks the word of God over me. Um, or there's another podcast. It's called In It With You by Kara Osborne, and it's scripture resets. So there's one scripture, it's repeated over you, and yeah. So those are the three that normally I'm listening to, either a Revelation Wellness podcast, or In It With You, or my worship music. I love me some Brandon Lake. Let's go. Tasha Cobb, Maverick City Music, just so many. Phil Wickham, so many. So I really like it. But it's I'm not in a sprint, and I'm not doing it to get in any smaller jeans. I am doing it to spend time with the Lord. Really, that's it. And it's just good. It's a stress reliever, and it's good for the noggin, or what's inside of the noggin. Y'all, I'm feeling extra goofy tonight, so hang in there with me on this one. All right, let's do a little Devo. This one's a little different. I'm looking to the side because I've got myself set up on it's actually a little tray table, like that you'd sit on the couch and watch telly. I bought it. It was on sale at Walmart for $7. When I do my podcast, I use it in my closet. That's where I do my podcast, and it's little and tiny, and I don't have room for my tripod and my Bibles, so I have to look to the side, so you will be getting the profile view. Oh, gosh, y'all must love me to keep coming back. Listen, let's talk about Daniel in the lion's den. Have been thinking about this off and on. Just what I've been thinking about are different people in the Bible that had to trust God, that chose to trust God in like extreme circumstances, or in circumstances that just didn't look like, with the natural eye, looked like they could be solved. Y'all, it's a night. My little light that's attached, it needs charged. It just went out. So now I got a little shadow here. It's fine. It's not, you didn't tune in to look at me. Or if you did, knock yourself out. Okay. I've been thinking, let's regroup, Max said. I have been thinking about people in the Bible that have had to trust God in pretty extreme circumstances. When with their natural eye, it didn't look like the problem could be solved, or it didn't look like they were going to come out on the other side in a good way. It took, like, I call it blind trust, but I don't know if that's the appropriate word. When I say that, I mean trusting in a God that I know it's going to work out for my good. But when I say I'm doing it blindly, it just means I don't know how he's going to do it. I don't know how it's going to end, other than it will be good. So that's what I mean when I say that. So I had a conversation today with a dear friend of mine, and we were talking about Daniel in the lion's den. And I thought, yeah, he's one that had to trust God. Woo. Had to trust him. And he didn't waver. He did not back down from acknowledging and praying to and worshiping his God. He didn't. Like, you're going to get the condensed version. I love, if you can pull up the Message version. Remember, sometimes I read from the Message version, which is a paraphrased version. Then I read from the New King James Version, and the Amplified Version, and the King James Version, and many more. But those are the ones that I've used on these videos. So anyways, condensed version. In the area that they were in, there was a King Darius, and Daniel was part of the government there. Okay. Anyways, there were some, because Daniel, he was a right standing, he was a good guy. Like, he didn't have any mishaps, let me put it in today's language. He didn't have like a criminal record. He's not on the people you may have dated Facebook site. He's clean. He doesn't have a mug shot. He doesn't have which if you have all those things, God can redeem all of that and you can become a new creation. I'm just trying to give you a picture of old Daniel, okay? He was a clean, straight, narrow fella. And so his little co-workers, let's just say, they were jealous. Let's call it what it was. They were jealous of Daniel. So they tried to dig up some dirt on him to tell the king, to get the king, like, mad at Daniel. So, well, they couldn't come up with anything because he doesn't have anything. Like clean as a whistle. So they thought, let's stir up something. And they wanted to do it something that pertained to his religion, okay? So well, it's really called lying. So they made up. No, let me correct that. They didn't make it up. Now I'm forgetting the part. They needed to dig up something on Daniel, okay? So Daniel prayed to God, the living God, every day, 3 times a day. And so they caught him doing that. No, I'm getting ahead of myself. Why am I so rattled? They knew Daniel prayed to this God, right? So they went to the king and they were like, King, so they come up with this, like, we think you should decree that no one should pray to any other god or worship or acknowledge anyone but you, King Darius. The king was like, right on. That sounds good to me. Let's go. So he decreed. So for 30 days, he decreed that for 30 days, no one could pray to, worship, acknowledge, serve any other god. They had to do that to him, right? So now let's get to David praying. He prayed 3 times a day to the living God. And where he was praying, it's kind of, I'm going to say like his apartment. I don't know, his whatever. And the windows were open. So the troublemakers, what I like to call the tattletales, his co-workers, I think we all know some of those people in this day and age. Okay, so the stirrers, the ones that are being fed by jealousy, which is straight from the enemy. So they were like, oh. So they heard Daniel praying to God, and they heard him. It was after the king had issued this decree, this command, like for 30 days, no praying to anyone else. And so they just couldn't wait to get over there and tattle to King Darius. And they were like, listen, we heard Daniel over there. He was praying to the living God. And the king was like, I issued a decree. And the little chirpers, they were like, yes, you did. Didn't you issue a decree? Didn't you say we couldn't do that? Didn't you say that was wrong? He'll need to be punished. The king's like, I mean, I did say that. Yeah, I did. So go get him. So they went and got Daniel. Sure enough, yeah, he was. And the king's like, well, I'm going to have to throw you in the lion's den. Like, we whine and cry about, like, time out or being fined. So Daniel, like, he broke the decree because he wasn't willing to waver. He continued to pray to his God. He was not going to pretend like or hide, or he wasn't going to be disobedient to his God, right? Now, that will preach to us. That'll preach. So, okay, Daniel, you got to go in the den with the lions. But this really bothered the king. The king didn't want to have to do this. It makes me kind of think like a parent. Sometimes we have to discipline our children, but you don't want to. It doesn't feel good to do it. You wish there was a way around it, but you got to be consistent and follow through, right? So the king didn't want to. Daniel, you got to go. But he told Daniel, see if I can find this verse real quick. He told Daniel, though, he said, Daniel, in verse 16, now this is out of the Message version. The king caved in and he ordered Daniel to be brought and thrown into the lion's den. But he said to Daniel, Daniel, your God, to whom you are so loyal, is going to get you out of this. And in the New King James Version, this is in the book of Daniel, chapter 6. Go ahead and read it. It is good. It is good. So he says, So the king gave the command, and they brought Daniel, and they cast him into the den of lions. But the king spoke to Daniel, saying, your God, whom you serve continually, he will deliver you from this. So, I mean, the king was like, that God that you serve, that you don't waver in serving, he's going to deliver you from this. And so the king, I mean, he hated to do it, but he had to follow through. So Daniel, he went on down, and the tattletellers, the stirrers, they had to put a big slab on top of the lion's den of stone, excuse me, a slab of stone, so Daniel couldn't get out. Like, he couldn't climb out. He was sealed in there. These boys, that's jealousy to another level. But anyways, so the king went back to his house, and he was distraught about this. He didn't eat supper. He didn't sleep. I mean, he paced around all night long. It said he fasted. He was real distraught about this. So the next morning, as soon as it was morning, it was sunlight, he scurried down there real quick and removed the slab of stone and yelled in there, Daniel, because he wanted to see. I mean, he was hoping that the God that Daniel prayed to and trusted in had preserved his life. I mean, he was really hoping, and and so he said, Daniel, and Daniel's like, what's up, King? That's my version. Daniel's like, yeah, I'm here. And I don't know exactly what he said. I could look in the verses, but I don't want to keep going back and forth. And so the king was like, oh, So Daniel he's alive, right? And I am going to go. And anyways, at daybreak, he got it. Daniel, servant of the living God, has your God, whom you serve so loyally, saved you from the lion? And David says, oh, King, live forever, said Daniel. My God sent an angel who closed the mouths of the lions so they wouldn't hurt me. I have been found innocent before God and before you, O King. I've done nothing to harm you. Listen, David trusted, see, when I get excited, Daniel trusted God so much, he went into the lion's den. God continuously proves himself faithful and takes care of his children. Now, hear that. Daniel didn't know going in there while he was being drugged over there or taken over there or escorted over there. He just knew that God was going to take care of him. He didn't know how. He didn't know if he'd kill the lions or if he would, they'd run away. He didn't know. He just knew he was going to. So down in that lion's den he went. And so God sent an angel and closed the mouths of the lions. Daniel came out of that den completely unharmed. Completely unharmed. Guess what else happened? The King Darius, was like, oh, yes, So it was a witness then to him about the God that Daniel trusted. I can't express to you enough. And when I say this, I'm saying it so passionately because I'm preaching to myself. We've got some stuff going on right now that I'm constantly reminding myself, you trust God, Maxetta. He's never let you down. You trust God. You trust God. You can't see how this is going to work out, but it's going to. You trust God, right? It's so good. This is in the Message. I don't want to keep you forever and read out of both, so I'm just going to read this one. And so then in verse 23, so when the king heard these words, he was happy, and he ordered Daniel to be taken up out of the den. And so he was hauled on up out of there, and there wasn't a scratch on him. He had trusted God. Then the king commanded that the tattletales, the jealousers, this calls them the conspirators, but the stirrers, the troublemakers, who had informed on Daniel, be thrown into the lion's den along with their wives and children. Before they hit the floor, the lions had already had them in their jaws, tearing them to pieces. And so then the king published a proclamation on every race, color, creed on earth. It said, peace be to you, abundant peace. Now listen where that comes from. When Daniel was in the lion's den, God sent an angel and he shut those mouths. It was peaceful in there. It was peaceful. Daniel didn't fret and worry and pace and write down different figures to figure this out or Google anything. He wasn't on WebMD or... Anyways, he trusted God. He trusted God. And it was such a peaceful time. In the lion's den, their mouths were closed. All right, so the king says, abundant peace. I decree that Daniel's God shall be worshipped and feared in all parts of my kingdom. He is the living God, world without end. His kingdom never fails. He rules. His rule continues eternally. He is a savior and a rescuer. He performs astonishing miracles in heaven and on earth, and he saved Daniel from the power of the lions. Listen, that's not a past tense God, okay? That same God is living. Now, in the New Testament, he sent his son Jesus to die for us on the cross, right? He was crucified, he died, he was buried. God, the same living God that delivered Daniel from the lion's den, raised his son Jesus up out of the grave. We just celebrated Easter, Resurrection Sunday, you know. I mean, they're alive. Like, when I talk about God, sometimes I feel like people think I'm talking about a fictional character. I'm not. He's as real to me as the air I breathe. He's real to me. Now listen, I'm not perfect. I'm not. I'm flawed in many ways. I'm not going to expose all of those currently. But I am human. And there are times that one of my flaws is trying to do it myself, trying to figure it out myself. I get in my own way and I get in God's way. So I have been trying to keep myself stirred up and remind myself, I don't know. I don't know how certain things are going to come to pass. I don't know how they're going to end. I don't know. What I'm solid on and what I do know is I trust God. The same God that closed the mouths of the lions for Daniel, got him out of that den. Same God I'm trusting. Same God. So whatever you're facing, maybe it's people. Maybe it's a harsh, strained relationship with people. I've got some of those. Hey, I've got some I'm praying about. I have some relationships that are not in the right place. And, or maybe it's finances. Maybe it's jobs, coworkers. I don't know, but I know this. What can we learn from Daniel? He prayed. He didn't waver. Even when he was told, don't you pray to anyone else. Don't you worship or acknowledge anyone else. He was like, I mean, I have to. You know, it's my God. He trusted God. Trusted him. You're being taken to a lion's den. Are you trusting him? Whoo, I'm just telling you. That would stretch old Maxie. But he trusted him. He didn't know how anything was going to work out, but he knew it was going to work out. God sent an angel to close the mouths of the lions, right? He came up out of there. The same king that threw him in took him out. He wasn't harmed, okay? Just keep yourself stirred up. That same living God is who we get to worship and serve and pray. And that excites me. It makes me a pretty happy camper. Yeah, so listen, thank you all. I won't keep you any longer. I went over 20 minutes. What's new? I appreciate the people, though, that thought I could do this in 20 minutes. And even for myself, I was like, oh, I can do 20 minutes and get done. That's always my goal, and I want to honor and respect your time, but I get to going. I appreciate the people that have hung in there this video. I'm a little scattered. I'm excited. I'm a little frazzled because I've been working on some different things. But let me share this with you. I know y'all get tired of hearing it. I don't know how else to get the word out there other than my friends. A new YouTube episode every Wednesday. A new podcast episode every Monday. YouTube channel, you just go in the search bar, put in Maxetta Gad. And I'm up a few subscribers, and I certainly appreciate it. So if you have a working email and you wouldn't mind to go ahead and subscribe, I thank you. Leave comments. I love it. I love to interact. Sometimes I just get to do a little heart action, and but every comment means something to me. If you can share it with your friends on and off social media, I don't know how to say this right, but my hope is this will grow to a large audience. And not because of me, but because I'm doing something very afraid. Like for me to get on here and share my beliefs and share what I've been studying, it makes me nervous. Sometimes I feel like I'm sharing this about Christ and people expect perfection. Well, Christ doesn't expect that. But I feel like sometimes I'm under a microscope. Well, I got to shake that off. I went through that a few years ago. It's a story. I don't know. Maybe I've shared it. Maybe I haven't. But, I'm a recovering people pleaser, and I won't go back to that. I will not. But I will admit that I have to continuously remind myself of that. So I'm doing this afraid and nervous and very much learning and new. I mean, I don't have all the techie stuff and the backgrounds, and my hair's not done. My makeup's not done. We talked about that before too. But the point of this is to encourage other people. Go ahead and do the thing. Pray about it. If you're called to do it, go on. Just start. Do it. So anyways, if you'll share about these YouTube episodes, that'd be super. And the podcast. Y'all love the podcast. The point of the podcast is a little bit different than this. I have guests on there to share their stories, and I'm trying to have a very wide variety. So we'll have lots of different stories and experiences. And I love learning from other people. There have been a few weeks that I haven't been able to get a guest because of our schedules. I have them lined up, and maybe I've done preparation calls, but we haven't had a recording time. So I just hop on and share some of my story about who I am and things that I've been through, and hopefully will encourage people. But the podcast, some people aren't sure where to find it. So if you go on your apps, on your iPhone, it's the App Store, and I think the Android, maybe the Kindles, there's a Kindle App Store. There's some sort of app store. You can look up Spotify, or you can just type in Apple Podcasts. Once you get the app, you can subscribe on Spotify or follow me, I think. Listen, I'm still learning, but I know that it matters. If you can like and follow, subscribe, download, whatever option it gives you. And if you can please leave me a 5-star review, and you can even leave a comment, it helps boost the podcast. Yeah. So, and the podcast, hang in there. I really am going to get with Sarah and get some pictures taken. But 2 things. The weather has been a problem. And once my grays start showing, I won't do it until after I get them done. Well, I just freshly got them done. You can't tell because I'm in slick back mode right now. So I'm going to try to get a hold of her and see if we can get something worked out. That's weird for me. I'm not a let's go get my picture taken kind of girl. I'm a throw a peace sign, be silly, take a picture girl. So, but I do need some for my covers. And okay, there we go. I've rambled, and I've rambled. So thank you for joining me on Chatting with Maxie. It matters that you're here and you matter. You be kind to yourself and you be kind to others. You go on out there and you do good and you do right and you do truth. As you do that, that will come back to you. Let's go. I love you. Have a good week.